Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you are new. So today we're going to be doing part 2 of our June color along. So we're just going to dive on in because I don't have a lot of time and I would love to get this done because I'm already late getting part 1 out. So we have been working in the Midnight Masquerade by Hanna Karlzon. So we are working on this lovely lady here. If you haven't watched part 1, please go ahead and do so. We're going to get as much done today as we possibly can. I'm hoping that the lighting is okay. It is not very bright outside, but we'll just make do with what we can. Miss Miko is being a little bit of a bother today too, so can I help you? Okay, so the first thing I think I want to tackle is her crown. So I want to use the ink tints for that. Specifically, I want to use the same colors that I've used in a previous one. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. So we are going to be working on the crown first. And I want to use my Derwent ink tints for this. So I'm just going to make sure that they've all got a sharp point. It's been a while since I've used these pencils, so... Okay, so I'm going to start with the golden yellow. And for the most part, I'm just going to lightly put this over pretty much everything. So everything that we've already based yellow is getting just a super light dose of this as well. I was originally going to go with like a bright super shiny gold, but I think I changed my mind. I think I want to go a little bit more rustic and aged. Okay. So let's go in and start putting in some shadow. So I definitely want a little bit of shadow here. So we're going to use the dark chocolate for this. So I want a little bit of a shadow where the crown meets her hair. So I'm just going to kind of lightly outline that and bring it up just slightly. We don't have to do too much shading with this because we're going to be blending it out with water anyways and activating it. So okay, this part here too is going to be fairly dark, so I'm going to go on either side of this just to darken up that inner piece. And then underneath this little heart as well. And this bit here. Okay, I think that should be it. Maybe let's put a little bit just on these little bits up here too. Okay, so next we're going to switch to the willow. So I'm going to bring this willow out from the dark chocolate a little bit. Not too much because this is still kind of one of the shadow colors as well. I'm not worried about these little dots or anything. I'm going to go back in with gel pen, I think. If you don't have anything that can go over the water media, then I would suggest leaving it. But I do think with water mediums, I think you should be able to go over it with the Prismas. But I can't quite remember because they're not like, it's not like waxy or anything. So I don't think it would affect it, but I'm not too sure. Okay, from here we're going to be adding a little bit of extra shadow. So I'm just going to go in on the left side of all of these here, and then the right side of these ones here. I'm going to outline this heart on the inside. So I'm just outlining the other line from where it's pink, just to make it look like this heart is popping out a little bit. And then I also want to add a little bit of a shadow on each side of these little strands that connect these pearls together. From there, we're going to grab the next color, which is mustard, and I'm just going to pop this in again, just coming out from the shadows. And then I'm just bringing it out far enough that there's a little bit of a highlight left, and then we're going to leave it at that. Activate it, and it should work good, hopefully. Just put a little bit of shadow on this lock here. I think that should be okay, so let's go ahead and grab a piece of paper to clean our brush off with, and we're going to go ahead and activate that. So let's start with this one here. So we're just going to start where it's lighter and then work into the darker areas. Oops. Cleaning off our brush before we go back into lighter areas. I have to be a little bit careful in this spot here so we don't muddy it up too much. I don't know what you want, but you should go play, you brat. She's very clingy today and her fur is bothering my nose. Okay, I think I want to make these little bits darker here. Just kind of where the bar disappears behind the pearls. I just want to darken that up to make the pearls look like they're standing out a little bit more. So I'm just going to use my brush to kind of dab a little bit off of the dark brown or the dark chocolate. And I'm just going to put a little touch of that in on either side of these strands. And then just try to blend them out just slightly. There's not a whole lot of room to work with, but I just don't want it to look like such a super harsh line. I think that looks good there, and then we can just go ahead and activate these little bits. And then I think that's it for the gold. Okay, so that's it for the crown. Let's go ahead and work on the hearts. I'm going to be using my Prismacolors. I do apologize, I'm not going to be using my swatches for this. I didn't have time to dig them out and find all of them. Sorry, I had a tickle in my throat. I'm like way behind getting this posted. I wanted to have this done at the end of May, and it's just ridiculous. Okay, so let's go in with, I want super sharp pencils. We're gonna go in with the Pomegranate. So I'm kind of matching the dark color that we used for her hair. It matches pretty well. Maybe we should have used Prismas. Oh, look at how pretty and like just vibrant that is in comparison to the polys. Okay, anyways, so this is a pretty close match to the darkest color that we used here. So I want to use this for these hearts. So this is the Pomegranate, and it's going to be adding a little bit of a shadow to these hearts here. I'm not going to do them super fancy because I don't really know how to color in gems, so that way they look like gems, but we're just going to give them a little bit of shadow and a little bit of highlight and make them look 3D, and we'll leave it at that. So I'm just going to curl a shadow in around the spheres. And I'm going more towards the bottom left, and then the highlight will be on the opposite side. It'll be the top right. So we're just going a little bit heavier around the bottom left and then fading it up slightly. We're going to do the same thing with this bigger heart here. Come down to the hearts on her face. Give these a little bit of a shadow as well. And then we've got these hearts down here. So I'm going to put a shadow in around where this front heart comes in front of this back hearts. I'm so bad at explaining things. Okay. And then the bottom of this one as well. Okay, I think that looks good there. Next, let's go in with I don't know if this is going to be too dark or not. Let's try and we'll see. I'm going to grab the mulberry. It's not too bad. Let's put a little bit of this in here. So I don't want to bring this out too much, but I'm going to mix it in with the pomegranate and then just bring it out slightly. And I'm probably only going to do this with the bigger hearts, and I just realized that I missed a lot on her crown. Let's focus on these 3 hearts here, and that way there's more chance of me staying in frame because I won't have to move the book around so much. Okay, then I'm going to grab the hot pink. So I'm going to use this to kind of blend in with those other colors. Still not completely burnished. I'm going to bring it out on its own and fade it out, leaving a little bit of a highlight. And I think we're going to finish this off with the cream. So I'm just going to grab my cream and use this to burnish everything. I'm going to start with a really light pressure first, and then just slowly increase the pressure to burnish everything. I like the looks of that. That gives it quite a bit more dimension. It might be a little dark, but I think it's okay. So we're just going to do the same thing for these. However, I'm going to catch up on these first. So I'm going to switch back to the pomegranate and just do the same thing here. I'm just going to go through the bottom right part of all of these hearts. Color in a little bit of these little dots to try and give them a little shadow. There's not much room to work with, but we'll do what we can. But yeah, I've been a little stressed out lately because back when I was going to quit at Sev, my boss agreed to give me a certain amount of hours every week, and I would only be working 4 days. But the last couple months, I have been working full-time hours almost every single week, and I'm just so tired of it. It's just way too stressful, and I'm getting to the point where rather than talking to her again, I'm just wanting to hand in my resignation, but I don't want to at the same time because I do love working there. But I feel like I've talked to her several times about this already. And then I think the big thing that's got me more mad than anything is she scheduled me to work an 11 to 7 shift on Wednesday, which is a little bit ridiculous because Carbon goes to school at 7, well, 8:30 around in the morning. So I would be able to see him in the morning for a little bit at least. And then I would be at work while he's still in school, and then I would come home at 7 and he goes to bed at 8. So I'd literally get to see him like 2 hours out of the day, and I don't really like that. Okay, let's switch to mulberry. So same thing. Just gonna bring this out a little bit. Don't want to make these too dark, so I don't want to put too much in here. Just a little bit. I think I'll also put a little bit on these parts too. Maybe I won't even have to use gel pen. Pencil's going over that pretty well. Tiny little bit on these hearts here. I want them to be fairly light. Okay, so then let's come in with the hot pink. Rain and I started a new series recently. It's a newer series on Netflix. It's called Sweet Tooth. Have any of you checked it out? I am like obsessed with the storyline. It's super quirky and like, I don't know, really fascinating. I don't like how close it is to what's going on now, but it's kind of got like a fantasy spin to it. is pretty cool. If you have Netflix, I'd recommend checking out at least the first episode to see if you would get into it, but I'm like so excited to finish watching it. It's the bad thing about getting into a show with Rain is I want to just binge watch and stay up all night and watch all of it, and then he can only sit for so long before his back starts to hurt, so limited watch time for us, unfortunately. That's why I have some shows that I just watch by myself. That way if I do want to binge watch, then I can. Not that I ever really get to these days. Just using the cream to burnish everything again. My days are usually full of filming and getting housework and other stuff done, and then I'm usually in bed by like 9 o'clock every night, so not much of a life there. Okay, I think that looks good. So we're only at half an hour in, which is awesome. I love smaller sized pictures. You get so much more done. Okay, so for this, I'm really uncertain about how to go about this. We're going to start with the light cerulean blue, and I just want to add some shadows in. So I'm just going to lightly go around the top of this bow, underneath this dotted line here. Back in here is going to be pretty dark. Underneath these two lines, underneath here, pretty much anywhere where it looks like the fabric is overlapping. So we can pretty much just completely outline this bow part here. And then I'm also making sure to just fade it out nicely. And then on the right side of these lines, It's amazing how much depth just adding a few shadows makes, or adds. I'm like half sleepy. It was a crazy day at work today. I don't normally film on days that I work. I try not to, but with only having 2 days off every week lately, it doesn't really leave a lot of time, and unfortunately it usually means that I end up neglecting the boys a lot, so I don't really like doing that. It makes me feel bad. Maybe just make a shadow in underneath this top bit here. I don't know what this is. I think it's just maybe like the top of the fabric. I'm not too sure. And then, I don't know, I'm just going by impulse here. But I did grab the ginger root, and I think I want to add some of this in here too. So I think I kind of want to mix this in with that cerulean blue and just lightly bring it out. Not going too heavy-handed or anything. I just want to put these colors down. It's more layers than anything. If you want the color to be a little bit darker or more vibrant, just go over it a few more times. But I think we're going to be using the white to kind of go over everything. That way it looks kind of transparent is what I'm going for, but I'm not sure if it'll turn out. I'm kind of hoping that this color will kind of play off the yellow in her hair. I mean, it's not looking terrible, so we'll go with it. As always, I got no clue what I'm doing. I'm just winging it. I'm actually really in love with the color this is making. Okay, I think that looks good. So let's go in with the white and we'll just go over everything and burnish it. Okay, there we go. I think I want to do her eyes with the same color. So let's go in with the cerulean. Just gonna lightly, so this is the light cerulean blue, so I'm just gonna lightly go over that, and then I'm gonna bring the ginger root in. Not everywhere. I'm just gonna pick out a couple spots to put it in. And then I'm gonna make the cerulean blue really sharp. Ah, it broke on me. Okay, and then I'm gonna try and put little strokes in here if I can. Her eyes are so small you can hardly notice them, but they're there. And then I think I'm just going to use the cream. And because I got those strokes in there and I don't want to blend them out, I'm just going to burnish in the way that those strokes are going. There we go. "42 minutes. Rum and Coke is literally like the best thing after a work day. See, all we really have left is her skin, the background, and finishing touches. I'm just trying to decide whether I want to do her skin, which is going to take a little bit. I'd probably put this video at an hour and a half. And then I could do the background and final touches in a different video. But the background and final touches I feel like won't take that long. So, let's do the skin. If the last part is a short video, then that's not a huge deal. Oops. Okay, I'm just going to put my Parma Violet in a pencil extender. So we're going to be using the Prismacolors for her skin. Okay, so starting with the Parma Violet. Oh, I should make sure I am in frame, right? Yes, and if we keep it there, then all of her will be in frame. Okay, so with the Parma Violet, I'm just going to lightly block out the shadows here. Not going too dark or anything, and making sure to blend them out. And again, I'm kind of imagining that for the most part, everything on the bottom and right side will be in shadow, but not always. I don't always follow the correct shadows. I more just follow a general shadow and then just add shadows wherever I think we need them. gonna take you guys on a trip right now, one sec. Okay, so there's a little kitty intermission there. I had to show you guys how adorable they were. So I am going to add a nose in for her, since all Hanna has drawn is these weird noses that I don't really know how to color. So we're just going to kind of add our own in. I'll add a Cupid's bow here too. I'm going to make this side of her nose a little bit darker. Okay, so I think that's probably it for shadows. I'm going to go in and just darken them up around the very edges. I'm not going in with pressure though, I'm just layering a little bit more over them. I don't want to burnish this at all because in my experience with Hanna Karlzon paper, it burnishes really easily and I'm just not a fan, so I want to be really careful with it. I definitely want it really dark in underneath her chin here, especially on this right side of it. I do still want a light shadow on her chin and cheeks, kind of going around. She looks a little crazy, but let's start adding in some nectar and see if that'll make her look a little bit more normal. So again, just going to lightly start working the nectar into the shadows and bringing it out a little bit. So just using probably around the same pressure that I used for the Parma Violet. I don't want this to be too heavy. I think she's looking a little more normal. Layering sucks. I'm so lazy. I hate layering. Normally I'm confident enough to just dive on in and make a mark, so to speak, but I'm just not sure on this one if I feel comfortable enough to do that. torn because I love how bold these shadows are, and I know that if I add the lighter colors, it's going to kind of soften that, but I also don't want to make it too dark to where it looks funny. So I think we're just going to move on, and we're going to start in with the peach. I think in order to preserve the shadows without lightening it too much, I think we're going to go in and try and not so much fully burnish, but just really get those colors in there with the peach. So I'm going to go in with a kind of more medium pressure. I could probably still get a couple layers over the shadows if I need to, but that darker color is not going anywhere, hopefully. And then of course we are lightly bringing the peach out as well. Really excited to see how this turns out, but nervous at the same time. Speaking of time, let's see, we're at about an hour. My phone is face recognizing her. She's got a square on her face right now. Hopefully that won't change how the video quality is. I don't really know, but on the plus side, it wasn't doing that before, so it looks like she has a face now. My alarm was going off and it went off over the video. It didn't stop my camera from recording, thankfully. I don't know if it was, if you guys were able to hear it though. Hopefully it wasn't too loud. It seemed pretty soft, but I don't know. I have to make myself a reminder. It's the 6th. Gotta make sure to remind the girls to post the color along for this week. In the Hanna Lynn group, of course. Sorry, I'm kind of hopping all around her face here. I think underneath her neck here, we can probably just pretty much burnish this for the most part. I don't think we want to put down too much pressure all at once on this paper though, so I'm just going to slowly work into it, starting with that medium pressure and then gradually just pushing a little bit firmer, still using those circular motions. Okay. And then back to that little bit lighter pressure down here. Okay, I think that's good there, so let's switch to the peach. This is another one that I'm gonna have to pop in a extender here. Okay, so I'm just going to lightly tackle her cheeks for now. So I'm just bringing the peach in with that light medium pressure. Using those circles, kind of just wide circles to go all around her cheeks here. So then let's go in with the processed red. Just want to give her a little bit of color. Don't really know how to make this look realistic, so I don't want to put too much. I just want to put a little bit. So I'm gonna kind of start from the corner of her eye. I'm gonna bring this down just a little bit to about this curl here, and it's kind of in this area. And then do the same thing over here. So again, kind of like in this area. And I'm going to switch to the hot pink. I'm going to go over this color and I'm just going to bring the hot pink out just slightly. And fade it out. Just to give her cheeks a little bit of color. Right, so then we're going to go in with the light peach. I'm going to start up on her forehead here. Here I think is where we should be able to start to like really burnish everything. So as always, just using those light little circles. For these whiter areas, we're going to want to lighten up the pressure and just slowly work into it. I'm just going to keep going over and layering until it kind of matches. I'm just gradually increasing the pressure as I do that. Otherwise, if we go in with too much pressure all at once, sometimes it kind of makes blotchy streaks. We don't really want that, especially on skin, because it'll be extremely noticeable. Going for more of a soft, realistic skin look. I'm wondering if maybe I should have waited and done this in part 3. Yes, for only an hour and 15 minutes. It feels like this is taking longer than it actually is. I think we should be done around the hour and 30-minute mark. I'm going to sharpen this a little bit more. Ugh, these pencil holders just annihilate the paint on the pencils. Oops. Oh, she looks so pretty. Okay, so for her nostrils, I think I'm going to grab the Process Red. This is going to seem really weird. Just going to lightly go over her nostrils with the Process Red, and then I'm going to go in with the Parma Violet. And then just to neutralize that a little bit, I'm going to go back in with the Nectar and just kind of burnish that just to make them dark, but still like a more of like a skin color. And then I'm also going to use the processed red on these little skin parts of her eyes here. And then I'm going to use the light peach just to kind of knock that back a little bit. And then lastly, I want a gray for her eyes. I want a cool gray, so let's go with 50% cool gray. I'm just going to add a little bit of a shadow just on the bottom and top part of her eyes here. Okay, and then we can finish that with the white. Just make sure your white is clean. And then let's bring her eyelashes back. I think I might use my Posca pen for this just because her eyes, or her eyelashes aren't very thick. They're not like Hanna Lynn eyelashes. So feel a little more comfortable just bringing them back with the Posca. Okay, I'm going to outline her eyes too. And color in her iris. Beautiful. Okay, I'll do this one too. Oh, her eyes are just so fierce now. I think I'd also like to grab, I've got these Papermate Flare Medium fine liners. I think I'm going to use a couple of these just to put some lines in her irises. Totally not necessary, and you don't need fancy pens like these. You could definitely just use a normal fine liner. So I'm going to do some blue and a little bit of green. And then I do kind of want to outline her eyes, I think. The irises, or yeah, irises with a darker color. I'm just going to go in with this little bit darker blue. There we go. I like that. So that is going to be it for part 2. Oh, I just realized that I didn't color this little bulb here. There we go. Okay, so that is going to be it for part 2. And then in the next part, we will go through and do, don't mind the mess as I zoom out here. Ooh, the camera is so flattering on this. Everything looks so smooth. I love it. I don't know if it's because it's still doing that facial recognizing thing. It's got like this little square over her face. I don't know if that goes away. Does that change it? Oh. I don't think so. But it's definitely making her look super smooth. She's unfortunately not that smooth. I don't know if it'll show. So she's still pretty spotty, but further away she looks smoother, which is awesome. I am actually really liking how she's turning out. It definitely didn't go the way I had originally planned, but I'm liking this detour that we're taking, and I'm super excited to do the background and the final details, which will be in the last part. So that will be next Friday, so tune in if you'd like to see that. But other than that, I'm going to end it here, and as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully I will see you next time. Alright, take care, guys. Bye!
Stars fall at my feet, keep me grounded as I reach higher than I see. Is there something there for me?